Hey. How's it going, everybody? Darn, gonna have a little bit of chill time. Um, and I'm gonna try this out for the first time. We're going to put together, um, camera turned on here. We're going to assemble and maybe do a little bit more basing or our Sisters of our Depta Sororitas, Sisters of Battle, Palatine from Warhammer 40k from Games Workshops. Do that tonight. Um, just gonna kind of sit back, chill out, um, and see what happens. Um, a little background music on here for you, and we'll get to work. So, first off, go through the quote unquote tools of the trade, if you will. Um, these are pretty much the most common, uh, well, the things that you will need if you want to get into the miniature wargaming hobby, or just a hobby of dealing with miniatures, painting, modeling, model cars, model trains, planes, automobiles, any of that stuff. Um, Shout out to anybody who gets the reference. Um, any of that stuff that you kind of getting into the hobby of doing scale modeling, um, and painting. So first, you need your model, and these are fairly big, fairly small. You can see here. I need to adjust more of my camera's at. Uh, you can see the size of my thumb there compared to our Palatine's legs. So you need your model. Next thing you need is you need a hobby knife set. Hobby knives. Twitch might get mad at me for showing you this, but hobby knives. X-Acto knives are X-Acto is the most common name brand. You see I have a selection. That's not, you don't need something that nice when you first start getting into it, but you will need at least a hobby knife. Some snippers. This is for removing your pieces off of these sprues. Get into what those terms are, but a pair of snips, side cutters. You can get these any hobby store, generally less than $5. I know you can find some less than $5 on Amazon. I used to live and die by a product, but the standard in the hobby space right now is this stuff, Tamiya extra thin cement. This is plastic cement. It is flammable. It is harmful to breathe in. You know, don't pull it up to your nose and puff it or anything. It is very quick setting. And basically what this is going to do is it's going to start to denature and melt whatever plastic we put this on. And when you put that on two pieces of plastic and you push them together, what it's going to do is it's going to melt on either side, and it's going to combine, and it's not going to glue the two pieces together so much as fuse them into one piece. This is very good stuff. Recommend using it. You can use any CA glue, such as Loctite. This is just basic CA glue. CA is cyanoacrylate, Loctite, Zap-A-Gap, Gorilla Glue. If you are going to use a super glue, I recommend getting the gel super glues. Just because the really liquidy ones can be a little bit of a pain to use until you get into it. And then the last thing I'm going to recommend getting is some of these sanding sticks. As you can see, this is basically for, you can get a sanding stick, you can get a, honestly, it's pretty much the same thing as a nail file. It's a piece of foam with two different grits of sandpaper on either side. One that's really coarse, that's going to remove a lot of material, and the other one that's pretty fine, that's not going to. That's going to be for your finishing up. Other things I always keep at hand is a set of hobby files. I keep a drill on hand in case I need to drill and pin anything. Hopefully we won't need to get into that. I keep a pair of tweezers. These are, if you notice, they're kind of old and beat up, but these are reverse grip tweezers. So you actually squeeze them together to open. And then the way that they're designed is that if by letting go, it keeps pinching. So you apply pressure to open, and then you don't have to apply pressure. It's really easy to hold them. Other things that are useful, we'll see as we get into it. If I need to introduce some more tools, I'll fill you in as we get there. So first things first, let's go ahead and get our model opened up here. These little plastic clamshells are kind of a pain in the butt, but if you just take your hobby knife and you just right along the inside edge and just very gently just pull it, you know, don't have to put a whole lot of force behind it. You just need to get it enough to open it up. I heard somebody once say that you can squeeze these packages to open them. It's never worked for me. But you know, it is what it is. Big important thing, if you're ever trying to work on a Games Workshop's blister pack like this, clamshell pack, I don't know what they're calling them nowadays, but if you are, make sure you don't cut into the paper, because the paper, as you can see, is our instructions for putting this model together. So don't cut into the paper. You'll need that. And then you get your sprue with your miniature on it, and you will get your base that your miniature will be on. This you can throw away, keep it. I have used these in the past for transporting dice to events, holding different things. They do make pretty decent little water trays for painting on the go. Keep it, toss it, completely up to you. Now, let's take a look here at these instructions. So you're going to see that there's this symbol here. If there's a choice of parts that we can use, or a variant assembly. So, for example, down here, we have a variant assembly. We can either use a bolt pistol or a plasma pistol, and it's going to show you what it looks like with either one. Okay, over here we have a choice. We can either go with hair down, unhelmeted, or helmeted, and it's going to show you the helmeted choice or the unhelmeted choice. Okay, so that's the big thing. Sometimes other kits will have other things, such as a glue bottle that shows that you don't have to glue there or to glue there. Generally, if it doesn't have a glue bottle on it, glue it together. When reading these things, it's taken me a little bit to figure it out. When reading these things, the yellow part is indicating where your connection should be. So if you look, it's saying that along this outline, let me grab something here. Along this outline right here is where our connection is going to be. So it's telling us where to apply glue. Okay, so let's get into it. So this is called a sprue. The sprue, this is all injection molding, injection cast plastic molding. The sprue is basically what holds everything together, which is this frame around our actual pieces that we want. Okay. Um, we don't always have to keep it. Um, there's a nifty trick with the Tamiya extra thin cement that you can do, because it will melt this plastic. It will turn it into something that's become synonymous in the hobby space, known as sprue goo. But that's kind of an advanced thing, and we'll get into it a little bit later. So let's go ahead and get into what we're doing. We look at our instructions here. First things first is step one. We need to glue what looks like we got to glue our legs together. So we need pieces 1, 2, 3, and 4 for step one. So we're going to take our hobby snips. We're going to find piece 1, and we're going to try and get as close. See if I can do this way. We're going to try and get as close with our hobby snips as we can get, and clip flush. Okay, and then that's going to come clean away. And see, the reason why we want to be as close as possible is because you're going to have a little bit of that flash. A little bit of that sprue is still going to be there. You can see that. So we're going to have to clean that up in just a minute. That's what we have our sanding sticks for and other utensils. So we just continue this the rest of the way around. That's part 1. That's part 2. Part 3 looks like our chest piece, or our front breastplate here. Now, I've been collecting and playing Warhammer since the mid 90s. Been around for a long time. Been doing this for a long time. My current army that I have collected is Grey Knights. But not a big fan of what they did with the Grey Knights in this edition, and decided that I really wanted to go back to one of the original armies that I had started collecting, which was Sisters of Battle, way back long ago. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our sanding stick. Now, in my opinion, these sanding sticks, they're great, but they're a little long. So I do like to cut mine in half. I think it's a little bit easier to use. It feels a little bit easier to use in my hand. Now, so there's a couple things to do that we can do. As you can see, we've got a little bit of that flash there and then on the heel. I'm not too concerned about on the heel. Nobody's going to see that, and plus it's going to be glued down to the floor. So that we can just sand off. We're just going to take and sand. First, we want to make sure we're using our rough grit till we have all the flash off, you can see, and we just hit it with a pass or two of the light grit. Now this, we have a couple of different options with what we're doing with it. You can see it's there. We can take the rough grit and the sanding stick and we try to get to it. And that's what I would recommend for any novice, any beginner. Just try to just use your sanding stick, just kind of sand back and forth, and kind of use the edge of it so that you're not having a whole lot of contact. You don't want to press. Just let the sanding stick do its thing. The big thing is that you don't want to sand so much that you deform your model. You just want to sand enough to get that flash off. And then you come back with the other side. Like I said, all this thing is basically a nail file. I'll be honest, I have used nail files in the past. You can get them from the dollar store. They work great. I happen to get this big this pack of these sanding sticks because I wanted to try them out and see if they were something special, if they were worth the cost. They're great. I would recommend using them. I think it's a little bit easier to handle than a big nail file, but if you're just starting out in the hobby and you don't have a lot of money, you don't want to spend a lot of money on the hobby right off, spend as little as you have to. Go to the dollar store, pick up a nail file. You can and it'll work fine. I've gotten away with using nail files from the dollar store. I've used fingernail polish, fingernail, like your acrylic fingernails, your fake nails. I've used that glue in the past because it's just CA glue, and honestly, it all works the same. It's all pretty much the same stuff. As long as you just are careful with it. Now, something that I will do, this is a little bit bigger of a piece. I'm peck it out with my finger a little bit, see if I can't get it off. Otherwise, what I'll do is I'll take my hobby knife here and I'll take the back of the blade, the back of the hobby blade. You can see that's not sharp at all. It's the blunt side of the hobby blade. You can see there's the blade. I'm using the back side of it, just the edge. And we're just going to take that edge and we're going to just drag it. And what that's going to do is it's going to scour that off without damaging our model. And then we can come back in with our sanding stick with the real light grit and then go back over it. Nice and easy. There you go. No more flash. We're good. Now this Palatine, not exactly sure, I guess it's Palatine, is one of our heroes. So we are, I do want to put a little bit of extra time into painting her. So I am going to try and kind of figure this out as I go, and depending on how things are looking, I might break this down into what we call sub-assemblies just to make painting a little bit easier. I might not. I'm actually going to adjust this camera. Bear with me, guys. Adjust this camera. It's a little close to me. If I want to move the camera. That's better. That's a bit. Hey there, is it Jongverse? Appreciate you for joining the stream. How's it going? So we've got our legs, we've got the flash off of them. Yeah, we're still a little close. Oh. So now we can kind of dry fit them together and see how it goes. See how this fits in here. And that's going to fit together real nice, real easy. And based off of the way it looks, she's going to be on our base here. She's going to be running. So her feet are going to be something like this. So in my experience, that one little point of contact is not that great. So what we will probably end up doing in a little bit is we're probably going to end up drilling a hole in her foot that's going to, we're going to drill a hole that's going to come up like this. Hey Meg, welcome to the stream, buddy. Going to come up into here, that we're going to put a pin in, and then that pin is going to go into the base, to kind of help stabilize and make a better connection there. So, but see how things are going. Need to move this camera a little bit more this way. Try not to get into my light too much. Sorry, earthquake. That's better. That's a bit more comfortable. How is that looking, Meg? Is that good placement? Music, good volume. I can never tell. I can never tell if the music's too loud or not. It's too loud? Is it not? Like I said, I can never tell. Especially since I'm using this thing through Twitch. I'm not using Spotify. I'm trying this Twitch thing plugin. Never used it before. So now we got moving on to this little chess piece. We got the same situation going on. We got to look at it, try and find our flash. We got a little bit right here. This got a little bit more on it, so we got to be real careful, real gentle, and just kind of trim some of this away. And then we can come back in, scrape it down. But be very, very careful. These X-Acto knives, these hobby knives, they are very, very sharp. You can very easily hurt yourself. But just like with any tool, as long as you treat it with respect, you're careful with it, and you're not monkeying around, you should be all right. I just made myself sound even older. Don't go monkeying around with your hobby tools. Where's my walker at? So yeah, I've been in this hobby. I started doing scale modeling when I think I got my first scale model when I was 7 years old. And that was way back in the times before. That was long, long, long time ago. And my love of scale modeling and painting led me to, and all things nerd-like, led me to my local game store, where I saw a bunch of guys standing around with these small figs, and they were so cool looking. They're all painted up, and I just thought they were so awesome. I had to get some, and that's where my 40k journey started. See, again, we've got see that. Got a little bit bigger of a piece of flash there we got to get rid of. So that's where it started off at. I started off doing scale model airplanes, World War II, things of that nature. That took me to planes and doing cars. led me to 40k. I also the epitome of geekhood here. Me and a couple of my buddies founded a scale modeling club in our high school. It's really funny too, because when we went to the teacher that we wanted to have for our advisor, every high school club has to have a teacher advisor, basically somebody, a chaperone. When we went to him, and we probably the coolest teacher I've ever met. Well, the second, my sister's probably the coolest. I might be biased on that though. But when we talked to him about it, he looked at us and he's like, "That's a little vain of you boys, isn't it?" And we went, "What do you mean?" Because we told him we wanted to start a modeling club. We forgot to say a scale modeling club. So he thought we wanted to like take photos and model clothes and stuff. We're like, no, we want to build scale models. We want to get people into it. Yeah. That's my story. Sorry, I don't know how badly that was coming. Sometimes you gotta blow on to get some of the extra dust, because you don't want that dust clinging onto your model. So with the microphone, I'm gonna try my best to not blow out this microphone by blowing on the model, but keep in mind, sometimes you have to. All right, so if we remember back to our first step here, we have to assemble the legs, and then it looks like what we're going to do is we're going to sandwich this legs between the front chest piece and the back piece. You can use a tiny brush if you have one available. I didn't bring that up because I don't have any of my painting stuff out. But yeah, a tiny brush, like a makeup brush. Again, honestly, dollar store makeup brush is probably one of the best things that you can use for something like that. So, all right, on to assembly. Again, this stuff, we're going to apply it liberally to both sides. You're going to see it has a small little brush attached. Okay, going to get some on the brush and just right on there. And make sure we get it on both sides. And push them together. See that where it joins, a little bit of gonna form, and it's pretty much just gonna completely smooth out and become one piece. Kind of going off to the side there. And after it's formed, we can kind of look at it, go see if we need to sand it down anywhere, see if there's anything that looks a little off. The join looks pretty good to me, so we're gonna set this down. Let's make sure that this is fully cured and dried before we move on to the part. So at this point is when I want to sit back and I want to start test fitting kind of how the rest of the pieces fit, to make sure I know, because the last thing we want to do is start assembly and have these not fit right. This even gonna get sandwiched? We could. That's just gonna slide right up in there like that. It's one of the reasons why I like to do these test fits, because this here, the way this fits together, the way that fits together, you can see completely closed off on the bottom. So there's not any room for this to be sandwiched in between, which means that all this is going to do is going to slide in here, just fit like that. That's how it's going to fit. So knowing that, we can go ahead, we can get these two glued together. Do this. Now, you want to make sure, try to get this together as precisely as possible. Make sure you squeeze together really good where it comes together, because you see that split right there. Yeah, ideally we don't want that. That's actually the reason why a lot of people use this stuff called sprue goo, made out of this cement. Because what that sprue goo is going to do is it's really thick glue. It's just glue with added plastic in it, because you're just going to melt the sprue into that plastic cement. And then what that's going to do is it's going to act basically as a filler between those lines. I'm not, if I was doing this as a commission piece or I was doing this as a competition piece, I would worry about it. But I'm not. This is just for my own personal play and use. So I'm not super concerned about everything lining up and no mold lines. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take just a little bit of glue. We're just going to go right in here. Going to dab it down here. Put a little bit onto the skirt up here where her leg is going to be. Down on the back of this. A little bit. Where the connection's going to be made. And we're going to take this, slide this here. Seat. Like that. Okay. Nice and easy. There we go. That's step one. Sorry about that. I had to get a drink. So, in step 2, this is the one where we have our option. Step 2, we can choose our bolt pistol or our plasma pistol. And then we're going to put our, looks like a power sword. And we're going to attach that to our hip. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get that power sword. I'm going to get it cleaned up and I'm going to get it attached to our hip. Number 5. Again, we're just going to take our snips and try and get as close as we can. Throw off some splash. How's it going, Meg? Just kind of lurking, chilling. Is while you're watching somebody else, or trying to keep this in the center of the screen here for you. Apologize. Now, if I was really going for a super detailed if I was going for a super detailed paint job, I might actually keep this separate, because the minute that we take this and we put this on here, you can see this is going to cover up a fairly decent amount of her hip. That's there. So that's going to cover a fairly decent amount of her hip. It's going to be kind of a pain in the butt with the way her arm is and the cloak to get that painted to a real high standard. So again, if I was doing this for like a commission piece or a painting competition, I might just leave this sword off and I'd paint this separate than this, and then at the end come back and put them together. But I'm not too concerned about that, again, because this is just for my own personal army. Not something I'm going to be trying to win Golden Demon with, or any painting competitions. This is just for me, should the day arise where I might actually be able to play 40k again. So not too super concerned about it. Your mileage might vary. Definitely go with however you want to do it. But like I said, it's not really one of those things that you have to do. Might go play Rivals in a bit with Kaelanor. Kaelanator? K. Or K. Cool. I cleared it with the boss. Had to clear it with my wife. But I actually ordered a new video card for my computer. This thing is becoming a pain in the butt. I just dry fit this. Why is this? See, this is where these little fun tweezers come. Handy. But yeah, no, I was talking to the wife about it, and been having some problems with Ashes. Rivals is kind of can be real kind of questionable for me at times. And a lot of other games that are coming out. You know, my current system is 6 years old, something around that line. So I was looking at it, and you know, it's in the budget, and I just went ahead and ordered it. I got a oh, okay, you come back. Yeah, I went through, did some research, and decided to get a new video card. I think I'm gonna go with the plasma pistol, this one. Honestly, not because I would ever actually, I don't think I would ever actually field for with it. And if it was a better connection here, if it was a little bit bigger of a connection, different connection here, I might actually magnetize or put some magnets in her arm so that I could swap out these guns. But honestly, I'm gonna do it because I want to. Because I want to. I want to paint it. I really want to try my hand at. I want to try getting better at some object source lighting, or OSL, and plasma and plasma pistols are great places to do that. So, yeah. Now this is a huge debate within the Warhammer community, is whether or not we drill our barrel. Some people live and die that you have to have the barrel drilled. And by that, what I mean is, this is our barrel. Gun barrels are not solid. And some people think that if you don't drill your barrel out, that it's an unholy crime. So I understand that, and honestly, it really doesn't matter to me one way or the other. I think I might do it just because I want to play with my toys. And that toy being the mini drill that I picked up not too long ago. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try my best to get my hobby knife point as close to the center as possible, because I want to try and get this in the center of the screen. So I want to try and get a point that my drill bit can get into and bite onto. So I think it's right about there. Just gonna kind of give it a point for it to drill onto, to give into. Barely see it. That's all we need. Is we just need a point for our drill bit to get onto. I think we might be a little off center there. I think we're pretty close. Now, when it comes to drilling barrels, there's a lot of different tools out there. There's a lot of different tools available. I found this one, a YouTuber I follow, and has inspired me, and really his videos have motivated me to a whole other level as far as my miniature painting goes. And that his channel is Ninjon, and he got this, thought it was going to be a joke, was really amazed with it. I got one. I'm amazed with it. This thing is called a WoW stick, and it's a high torque, low speed hobby drill and vice drill. Okay, and so you can see that how small this drill bit is. Okay, and I'll get it going. You can see it's going decently fast, but listen how quiet it is. Like you can't hear it. It's amazing. These things are great. You can find them all over the place online on Amazon and other places. They're fairly cheap. Again, if you're just getting into the hobby, wouldn't worry about it too terribly much. But if you're just looking for something to kind of step up your game a little bit, you never know. So what we're gonna try and do is we're gonna try and get this. This is the smallest bit that I have. Pretty sure it's the smallest I have. It comes with all these different bits. Yeah, this is the smallest bit that I have. So what we're gonna do is just gonna try and get this into the center as possible. Try and find that hole. Now we don't want to push. We don't want to push really hard. We want to let the torque of the tool do the job. I always find it easier to have it run and kind of position it with my finger. Until you get a hole started, because that way you don't have to worry about it jumping. But again, I'm not pushing, just letting the torque of the tool do its job. There we go. A little bit of a drill. Drilled out gun barrel. Now we just clean this up. I'm gonna try and see if I can't pull this a little bit further. Centered. So now, I'm just gonna clean this up, hit it with our, there we go. We have a drilled out gun barrel. That's not the greatest in the world. I'm kind of out of practice with drilling gun barrels. Been a while since I did it. I've been playing a lot of fantasy or Age of Sigmar, and they don't have gun barrels. So I'm a little bit out of practice when it comes to drilling barrels out. But there you go. That's the basics of it. It's a bit better. You get the idea. So yeah, Meg, what I was saying is I was talking to the wife, and so I ordered I got a Radeon 7600 XT coming. Should be here next Thursday, I think. So we've cleaned up our flash here, cleaned up back here. Now it's time to attach. And again, this is one of those times where you can see, try and get this as close as we can. See how this, it's just going to go right into that kind of empty space there. I want to stay focused. Just going to kind of fit right into that empty space there. You're just going to kind of do yourself a favor first and kind of wiggle it around, find out the way it's going to fit. Figure out how. There we go. See, there we go. As soon as I found the right placement, slid right in. So that's how we're going to go. That's how it's going to fit in there. Just like that. Always, always, always. If there's one thing that I will stress to you that I could not stress enough, always dry fit your parts before you put glue on them. Always dry fit your parts before you put glue on them. There. Go. Give it a few minutes. You can blow on it. You can use a blow dryer to kind of warm it up a little bit and help speed along the drying process. Honestly, this stuff is real thin and it's gonna cure real quick. Just give it a few minutes. You set her down right here, and then clean up our hobby spot. Always clean your hobby spot. I have seen hobbyists hobby spots that are a wreck. You wonder why they lose things, they break things, cut themselves. Clean your desk, clean your hobby spot. Make sure your stuff is put away. Clean your hobby knives. Oh, I muted my mic somehow. Um, what was the last part? I need to get more in the habit of looking up when I'm talking. Um, where did you lose me at? Oh, cleaning up your parts. Yeah. Okay. So the next thing we're moving on is the head, and the heads are super important. Any artist will ever that you'll ever deal with will tell you that you have to pay attention to the face. Uh, for whatever reason, uh, humanity will the first thing we will look at when looking at humanoid artwork is the face. Um, is the face and the head. So, um, what I'm doing here is I am taking a piece of this wire. This is just craft wire, um, 26 gauge craft wire. I'm folding it over on itself, as you can see here, folding it over on itself. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a technique called pinning. We're going to pin. We're going to glue our. We are going to glue our head onto this piece of metal here. So get our head out. I want more practice with faces, so I'm going to choose the non-helmeted one. But if you want a little bit of an easier time, go with the helmeted one. Makes your life easier. But like I said, I want some more practice painting faces, so we're going to do it this way. Snip it free, clean up the flash, and then get ready to insert our pin. Now the reason for our pin, and I suppose that you probably didn't hear me when I was talking about my skewer here. The reason for the pin is we're going to attach it to our skewer. And again, this is just a skewer for shish kebabs or whatever. You can pick them up at the dollar store. You can pick them up at the grocery store. It's just a skewer that I've trimmed down to be a reasonable length. This is just Gorilla Tack, plastic tack, blue tack, poster putty, whatever you want to call it. I think the folks across the pond call it something different. What we're going to do is we're going to take our head and we're going to glue it on here. Then we're going to take this and just put it into the blue tack, just like that. Okay. And stick it into the blue tack and make sure that it's nice and secure, best as possible, so that the big thing is we don't want it to move around a whole lot. So if you have to kind of pull it, get it real good and in there. You want it fairly stiff. You don't want it to move a ton, because that is where your head is going to be, so that when you go to paint it, you've got your little tiny brush out and you're painting the head. You'll see that, you know, I can touch this. I have to touch it pretty decent for it to move. So now that's our head holder. Okay, we've cleaned it up. So now we're going to come into the bottom here and we're going to drill another hole. This one doesn't have to be as precise because we're not drilling gun barrel. This is not going to be seen by anybody else. All this is a hole to pin our head onto that piece of metal wire. A long time ago, they used to call it pinning because you would literally use a straight pin, which you still could. You could still use a straight pin to hold it in place while you did this. Now, because I'm doing metal, okay? Because I'm using metal into this plastic, I'm not going to use the Tamiya cement. The Tamiya cement wouldn't do any good because we're not doing plastic on plastic. So that's where this stuff comes. So we're just going to put a little dab on the end of this piece of metal. A little dab on there. And then put our head. Put that wire. If I can actually see what I'm doing here. Put that wire right up in there. Okay. That's going to glue our head to this piece of wire. So that later on, when I'm going to paint this, I can hold this and I can paint the entire head and the hair and everything, and I don't have to worry about it being blocked by any of this cowl or armor. Now, this is entirely optional. You could just glue her head in there, especially if you're just going with the armored head. You could just glue her head in there and be done with it. Like I said, I want some more practice painting faces, so we're going to do that. And the last piece is the backpack. We're going to put the backpack in. Lappy's dying. You're going to be leaving me here soon, Meg? That's cool. I appreciate you coming. I know for some this may not be the most riveting content, but I figure I'd give it a shot. So, trying to do this. I wanted to get this Palatine squared away anyway. Needed something else to paint. I finished my Stormcast model. And seeing several other streamers doing it, so I figured, what the hey, give it a shot. If you need to take off to go handle your business with your laptop, Stan, are you and Kay gonna be co-streaming, you think, or are you gonna just be playing? This, I'm just going to put a dab around here and around the back. This. It's actually got a molded insert. Nice. Again, you could completely leave this off for better access to the back and to the back of that. But since I'm not putting the head in, I'm not going to worry about it. I wasn't sure. I know sometimes streamers will do, random collabs and stuff. Your boy Red did a 20+ hour stream, so I wasn't sure. Yeah, I'll pull it up on my phone or something. Are they streaming now? Just playing Paladins. Is that the one that was in your stream earlier? From across the pond? And there we go. That's step 4. The last thing to do is attach her to the base. I must play Fortnite. So we've got our head mounted. That's nice and secure. You can see, like, I can push on that pretty well. It's not moving. Last thing to do would be to secure her to the base. But again, I'm not really a fan of the 1 foot supporting her into this base. Plus, I'm going to do some basing work with on this. So instead, I'm just going to take her, stick her in here for now. And then we'll come back and we'll get some primer on her and zenithal. Maybe we got to stick you to the base. Huh, lady? Suppose we could put her to the base temporarily. And we can always take her off the base. Oh, he's mostly playing Fortnite. That's cool. Yeah, I'll go check out Galantor. Galinator. Who is this character? This is actually a generic hero. This is a Adeptus Sororitas, or the Sisters of Battle, Palatine. Kind of cool model. She is much more of a melee or like in your face combat focused character. Than some of the others. Sit back and shoot people. So yeah, we're gonna try and see if we can get her glued in here. I might have to pull a modeler's trick. Yes. Yes. Nuns with guns. As they were oh so affectionately known in the 90s. Nuns with guns. They are daughters of the Emperor. Yes. Space nuns with guns. Super anti-psyker, anti-anything. Think the Knights Templar, just all women. Yeah, I'm actually going to pull a little hobbyist trick and use a piece of cork. This cork comes in a lot of different shapes and sizes. I'm going to use a piece of cork. Glue that to her foot. Knights Templar with testicles. Yeah, it's a pretty. They are the militant order of the church. of the Imperial cult. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to glue this piece of caulk, or caulk, not caulk, cork to the bottom of her foot. And then, because I don't know where all this is going to sit, smear a bunch onto the base over here. Smear a bunch of super glue, a bunch of Loctite. Take this, stick this on here, and basically this is just going to let us have a bit bigger of a platform for her to stand on. Really not a fan of these. I love the fact that they try to put them in like action poses, but some of them, just not a fan of the single leg supporting the entire model. If you're gonna do that, at least give me a piece of terrain that is like part of the foot to widen the base out, to widen the connection. Otherwise, I have to sit here and mess with it. So that's going to dry, but try and do this. I'll try and take the camera down so I can show you. What we did is we took that piece of cork and we wedged it underneath her foot, so that glue is going to dry, and then we're going to have a much more stable base for her. Now, I don't know if I'm going to keep that there. I think I know I will for the process of painting at the very least, at least partially. But that's what we're looking at. Sorry, don't want to give anybody sickness. Yeah, it does kind of look like stone. Hopefully it'll stay looking like stone. See if maybe I can get a better, more light. Hopefully it'll stay looking like stone. And I don't know. We'll see. I might end up peeling her off of it and then painting it up like a piece of rubble. I had planned on putting these ladies on a runescape, like ruin, R-U-I-N, ruinscape. It's like a ruined cityscape kind of battlefield, and less like rocks and trees and plains and stuff. But I don't know. I also got this stuff. This is terrain acrylic. It's basically sand mixed in with paint and stuff, but it's supposed to mimic like sandy desert terrain. Here's and this is going to be real fine coarse, like it's going to be real fine grit. This desert soil is a bit thicker, a bit more more coarse texture. Um, so maybe I'll put them on a desert or maybe a wasteland. Not sure, but so yeah, um, we're hour and 35 minutes in, um, and there you go. We've assembled our Palatine for Sisters of Battle. We gotta let some glue dry. Um, I have my hobby space to clean up. Um, and then I think that I'm probably going to do some more Final Fantasy. Um, I would normally jump into Ashes of Creation, but like I was saying, I got a new video card coming, and part of that deal that I got with it was to send my current video card in and get credit off of the new one. Um, so I don't want to fry my video card before sending it in. So I'm probably going to lay off of Ashes and Rivals until I get my new video card in. Uh, Mig introduced me to this other streamer, RedX0 ETV, right? RedX0, that's his name. Big Final Fantasy guy, real good guy. And that kind of got me wanting to play Final Fantasy 14 again. And I've decided to live stream my playthrough of the Dawn Trial MSQ. So if you want to stick around and watch that, stick around. I'll be putting screen up and maybe some video or something I can figure out while I get all this cleaned up and get Final Fantasy started. So I will be back. We're gonna take, it's 9:19, so we'll shoot for 10 minutes, and I'll be back, and we'll do some Final Fantasy. So thanks for tuning in. I hope everybody was here. Maybe learned something. Maybe didn't. But whatever.